So I'm quite a fan of these Dyson fans. Did I say that? So we're having quite a hot summer here at the moment, and I've really been exploring the best way of boosting the cooling power of these Dyson fans. And what struck me as quite interesting when I was reading the reviews of these fans on Dyson's website was a lot of people seem to be under the impression that they will actually actively cool your whole room. And I don't know if that's a sort of byproduct of Dyson's marketing with the word cool in the title and things like that. You know, you wonder if you're buying some sort of air conditioning machine. Of course, they are just fans. All they do is move air around. Now, that's not to say they can't cool you, because there's actually two main ways they can do that, but it isn't an active process. So we're in this situation at the moment. We've just got a new cat and we can't open the windows in the house. And of course it is getting really hot now. So we're finding that a little bit tricky, but we are making the most of these fans. So there's two ways which a fan can cool you down. One is through the transfer of heat just by flowing a cooler air over you. And that works not only with you, but also objects. So if the air is cooler, then obviously flowing the cooler air at something will cool it down. So that's how a car radiator works. You know, you bring the air over, and the larger the surface area, the faster you cool down. The more airflow coming in, the faster you cool down. And the bigger the difference in temperature between the air and the thing you're cooling, the faster you cool down. And any one of those can be adjusted. So if you've got a warm day and it's warm indoors and your air temperature outside is kind of quite warm as well, or just the air in your house is quite warm, what you want to do is try and start off with as cooler air as possible. So if you place the Dyson fan by a window that's open, in our case it's just open a crack so the cat doesn't escape, but you want that to be on the cooler side of your house. So don't put it on the south side if you're in the north hemisphere. If you're in the southern hemisphere, it's the other way around. So for us in England, the north side of our house is cold. You know, it doesn't ever get the full heat of the sun on there. And that means overnight, when the wall is cold, those bricks on the north side are going to stay cool pretty much well into the middle of the day. So the air on the north side is going to stay cooler than the air on the south side. So if you suck that air in through the open window with the fan placed on the inside, blowing into the room, you're going to be doing your best chance of getting cooler air into the room there. So I discovered Newton's law of cooling, which actually explains what's going on here. So you've got this thing called the heat transfer coefficient, and that can be increased by more airflow. So the higher the setting on the fan, the greater that coefficient, and that means you'll cool down quicker. So if you take a certain difference between the air temperature that you're using to cool and yourself. So let's say you're feeling a bit hot and the air temperature is 30 degrees outside if it's a bit warm. So that difference isn't that great. It would be greater if it was 20 degrees outside and, you know, your body temperature is your body temperature. So we're working with a lower difference between the temperatures. So we have to adjust other properties in this formula to increase the rate of our cooling. So it's actually quite interesting seeing how all that works. Now, the other part of this setup of having the fan on the cooler side of your house sucking that cold air in is to make sure that you have the curtains closed on the hot side. And you can actually close the windows on the hot side. I mean, I tend to just leave them open a crack, just hopefully the idea that any warm air might just sort of mingle out, but essentially you don't want any of that warmer air to be coming in on that side, and you certainly don't want the radiated sun's energy coming in through your windows. So close the curtains on the hot side of the house, open the curtains on the cooler side, open the windows on the cooler side, and place the fan on that cooler side by the open window to suck in as colder air as possible. So that's one little trick that I've discovered actually to be really effective. And of course the other is to harness the power of evaporation. So evaporation is actually an active cooling process. If you can evaporate a liquid off a surface, it will cool it down. And that process can actually be used to quite drastically drop the temperature of an object. And that's why we sweat, of course. And that process is less effective in more humid environments. So if it's hot and humid, you're going to have a really hard time cooling down. If it's not too humid, then we can utilize this. So what I've actually done quite often in the office on a hot day is soak this bit of my shirt. So I just do this bit. I don't want the shoulders and back. That starts to feel a bit horrible. But if you do just wet this bit and then you sit in front of the fan promotes the evaporation. So the moving airflow hitting this helps dry it quicker. The faster you get it to evaporate, the faster you'll cool down. So it's really not to be underestimated. Even on the lowest setting on this desk fan here, if I've got a damp shirt here, it will really give me significant cooling and really just, you know, makes a hot day quite manageable working on a computer here. Now, there's one other thing that I actually tried. I thought I was really onto something, and I thought this was going to be a good part of this video. I got some ice blocks out of the freezer, and I sort of organized them around the base of this purifying fan with the idea that it would just create this cool air that it would suck into the fan and then blow at me. And it sort of kind of did work, but the fact that the ice blocks were so cold basically meant the moisture in the air just condensed immediately on them, and after about 5 minutes I had a sort of pool of water all over my desk. So it kind of highlights the issue with, that sort of, if you have created a really cold surface by putting something in a freezer and you bring it out, you're going to have to work out how to deal with the moisture generated through the condensation on that really cold surface. So that was an interesting sort of test, so don't make the same mistake, and hopefully that saved you some time there. But I do really recommend, soaking this bit of your shirt and then sitting in front of the fan. You'll find that incredibly cooling on a hot day.